And to me, your work, which is so great at the Levin Center, and I'm grateful for your time here, is on this piece about figuring out what is working and what's not working, right? Is about and having politicians or elected officials, lawmakers hold themselves and hold the implementers, hold everyone accountable for delivering the results that were the intention of the law in the first place. So I'd just love to, have you start maybe a little bit with just talking about, for people taking this kind of giant step backwards at the beginning, like, what is oversight? What does it mean? And what does good oversight look like?
So oversight can occur. Well, obviously, the word oversight is a little bit misleading because it's a very broad term that can apply in lots of circumstances. I mean, it can be somebody looking over your shoulder.
Right.
It can be a lot of different things. It can be a mistake, obviously, an oversight. There's all kinds of ways it can get confusing. But to make it sort of simple, oversight is just communication. Oversight is really people in government. Um, Communicating with either other people in government about what a public policy is doing, or perhaps people outside of government who are affected by that policy, exchanging information and monitoring whether that policy is working, whether there are problems potentially with the policy, sometimes fraud or corruption, or just simple mismanagement, or maybe the policy is just fundamentally wrong. And the Supreme Court, oversight is a power that, of course, we expect to be exercised by both the executive and the legislative branch. Administrative oversight, which would be management in government, say the executive branch, overseeing the work that it's been charged with doing by the legislative branch. But the founders, the framers of the Constitution, had in mind that, yes, there would be distinct separate powers for the executive and legislative and judicial branches, but that there was a good deal of overlap. In other words, you can't pass a bill without the executive signing that into law. Likewise, you have to have the legislative branch involved with overseeing and monitoring what the executive branch is then doing with that authority that it's been given, the money that Congress has appropriated. So it's really about communication and overseeing, and then communicating with the public about what is happening. So that's fundamentally the way we see it. The Supreme Court, in a series of landmark cases going back about 100 years, has written about the power of oversight and its fundamental element. It's being a fundamental element in the work of the legislative branch.